Smile, meet, chat, join for networking.
Good afternoon, everybody. Richard from Control It. So the question you've all been asking me all day today is, Richard, how the hell do you sell online? So inside this flip chart is the secret to online success. But you might also say to me, look, do you know what, Richard, I don't actually sell physical products on my website. I'm not strictly e-commerce. Well, I would say to that, well, if you're going to, or you are, this is going to be brilliant for you. But everybody essentially sells something. We all have an online presence, right? So the principles you learn here today can be applied to anything, whether it's e-commerce or just a service-based customer website. So, what do you need to know? Well, it's quite a few. So I put a few of them on a bit of a slide. Yeah, it's a little bit busy, but I'll tell you what. I'll start in the middle and I'll work my way around. So just hold on to your hats. Google, they rule the world. 89% market share in the UK, they kind of rule our world. Well, they have robots that run around looking at meta information, so you need to fiddle around with that, whatever that is. SEO, search engine optimization, I think that's like fiddling around with words on a screen, so SEO, yeah, you need to know about that. Then PPC, that's kind of AdWords, we call that Google AdWords. Yeah, so PPC and SEO. Then you've got conversion rate optimization, that's converting the stuff you say you're going to do, but we call that CRO. So CRO, PPC and SEO. Then you've got search engine marketing, some people call that SEM, but it's probably going a little bit too far, isn't it? Internet marketing, that's the umbrella term for the whole lot, so you need to know about that. 100% organic, I don't really know what that is, but it's natural, so it's the natural thing to do, so that's good. Desktop, laptop, tablet, phone, so you probably need a website for all of those, so that's all good. Payment providers, you need a payment provider, be careful, the banks will probably rip you off. Keywords, tell you what, just stuff the whole thing with keywords, you're bound to get some sales out of that. Oh, and don't forget about social media. How do you feel? Perfect. Perfect? Well, yeah. So if you're like most business owners, you feel a little bit like this. It is migraine material, right? There is so much information out there. There's a wealth of information. And to be honest, we're a little bit geeky and we've got acronyms for Africa, right? So what do you actually really need to know? The way I think about it is whatever you've seen on that previous slide only ever fits into 5 key areas. 5 key areas. And the best way of thinking about it, whether you've got an existing website or you're going to have a new website, is think of it like a phased approach from beginning to end. So, 5 key areas that I'll be testing you with later. So, number 1, at the beginning of the phase, is research. Know what the battleground is before you go into battle. Yeah, makes sense. Construction. This is the design, this is the skeleton structure of your website. Actually, a good way of thinking about this, think of it like a physical retail store. Okay, right, I want to sell my t-shirts. I want to be in the East End of town. That's where all my customers are. Brilliant, okay. Construction, is it going to be a fancy new looking site? Is it going to be an old? Is it going to have glass windows? What's the sign up the front going to be? Fine. Content, kind of the stuff inside the shop, right? And a digital environment, it's probably the words on the screen, the videos, the infographics, whatever it is, the juicy stuff that actually sells your products or services inside the website. Then the marketing. Okay, so you need to not just sneak your way into the East End of town, you need to tell people that you're there. Fine. It's the same applies for a website. You need to get on the rooftops and tell everybody you're there. And then measuring, statistical stuff. What does success actually look like? You need to understand the performance of your website. So, I mean, of course, we don't all going to have brand new websites. If you think one of these things you're not doing well, you can replace it. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break all these down a little bit further. I'm going to give you the sad path and the happy path. What worst case scenario, or kind of what tends to happen versus what actually does happen. You'd be really surprised, out of those 5 key areas, 3 to 4 of these are either skimmed across or missed out entirely. We'll see what you can guess. So research, what do you think the worst case scenario is? That's tumbleweed. It's a red tumbleweed, but brown didn't fit in my colour scheme. So most people don't. They just go away and build the shop. Oh, bugger, I'm in the south end of town. Oh, I'm actually in the suburbs. They don't know where they are. So what do you need to do? What's the happy path? Right. Number 1, surprise, surprise. Technical fault here. Number 1, who are your customers? Who are your customers? You can't be everything to everybody, and nor can your website. You need to understand, is it younger, is it older, male, female, B2B, B2C? Are they business women from the ages of 20 to 50? What you do here actually affects every other phase throughout the project. And of course, where are they hanging out? Are they mainly on Instagram and Twitter? Fine, you need to know that. And then what are people actually looking for? wouldn't it be really cool? 89% market share in the UK, Google. Wouldn't it be really cool if you could find out what people are typing into the search engines? Well, you can. You can pay a lot of money for an agency to get it done, or you can download some Google software and look out keyword research. The poor man's way is just typing in your products and services into Google and seeing their auto-suggests. Why do they auto-suggest that? Because it's really popular. Well, if lots of people are searching for it, wouldn't it be really good to put content on my site about that sort of stuff? So everything you do here has a knock-on effect. And actually, you might find some really useful information. You might be selling bed linen and you say, quilt this, quilt that. And actually, the research suggests people don't say quilt, they say duvet, or maybe something like that. And then, of course, the competitors. What you think your competitors are in bricks and mortar are very different in a digital environment. If you're selling t-shirts, you might be up against a little kid in his bedroom selling out of his garage. So understanding the enemy. So next. Construction. I love this one. Well, this always gets done. You can't build a website without building a website, right? So what happens normally? Okay, well, we concentrate a lot of time on branding and logo and design. I'll come back to that. Color schemes, and then a CMS, content management system. You go, crikey, I can't update this website myself. I need the ability to update it. Fine. That makes sense to me. I do have an issue with design. Most people spend most of the time on design, okay? You've got that brand new shop in the east end of town? Wrong. If your website is new, Google has put you in the middle of a field, in the middle of the country, miles away from town. You're 20, 30 miles away from town. And P.S., there are no roads to get to your place. Bugger. So it doesn't matter how good your sign is, multi-million-dollar shop, little lovely garden, if no one can see it, it's no good to anybody. So we'll come back to that. So how would you construct it? Very similar, just a little bit smarter. I'm too short for this flip chart. Okay, construction. So branding, logos, that sort of stuff. Cool, we get that. That's good. Building for your target market audience. As I said, you can't be everything to everybody. Now you've done the research. Maybe you want to build your site for, maybe it's the older generation, maybe you have bigger font for your design, maybe you don't have that fancy line menu when it goes to mobile, what we know as the hamburger menu. Maybe you actually say this is a menu, because anybody over 50 wouldn't understand that. So building for your target market audience. Maybe it's a website for teenagers mainly, and you concentrate more on mobile than you do on desktop, possibly. Consider user powers and UX. UX is just a fancy way of saying user experience. This here, in my head, is the single most important aspect. Close to 30% of users on an e-commerce website will leave because of poor navigation. It's too hard, they give up. Actually, if it's service-based, it's about 76%. Ridiculous. So it's not all the pretty designs, it's how they find their way through the shop, right? Think of it how you would shop in a brand new supermarket in a bit of a daze. You know, we all have a bit of a zombie thing when pushing our trolley along. New supermarket, don't know everything, so really great big signs here, or 2 for 1 over here, and there's a lady saying this aisle's free. We need that stuff when we're shopping on a Saturday afternoon. It's the same concept on a website. You've got to make it simple, stupid. Then research to target devices, mobile, tablet, that's what I mentioned before. We call that in our industry responsive design. Gone are the days where you can just concentrate on desktop, and also gone are the days we can have a mobile site. Even the big kids like BBC had to change this. Back in March, Google said they're going to penalise people that aren't mobile friendly. They've been telling us for a few years, to be fair. And as of about 3 weeks ago, the UK have flipped over to more than 50% on mobile, meaning more people look for stuff on their mobile phone than they do on a desktop. So that's a no-brainer now. And of course, you need a content management system, whatever type of website you have. You need the ability to update it yourself, but it needs to grow. Your website will never stay the same from day one. It's always evolving. So, construction. Can anybody remember the next one? No? Content. Well, this does happen, but it's a last-minute thought. And this is all the stuff inside that website. This is really, really important. So you run out of time, so you nick the content, you go, well, we use this supplier for our stuff, so everybody uses this stuff, right? Okay. The data is poorly organized because you go, well, I've got 1,000 products, 100 different suppliers, some of that, I'm missing images here. And you're not sure who's populating it. Someone has got to take that information and squirt it into that new system, if it's a brand new system or moving from A to B. just be careful. This is just a warning in our industry that I've seen the cost of this completely outweigh the whole cost of the project of construction, okay? Lots of nods here. So just be careful. Someone's got to do it. So you've got to consider that. And of course, the other thing is once it's live, someone's going to organise who's going to update it. Right, fine. So what's the happy path? Well, very similar, just a few alterations. Number one, the content is unique. You cannot steal content online. Google knows, they know everything. You wouldn't steal someone else's blog and stick your name on the bottom, right? We kind of get that. But the same applies for product descriptions. Just because you're all using this supplier doesn't mean you can nick their product description, because basically Google will say, these kids were here first, why should I bother indexing you? So unique content is absolutely essential. Of course, organise your data so it costs someone less time to squirt that information in, and then understand who's doing that. And then of course, it's quite a big job to keep your website up to date. Maybe it's not right for you, maybe it's right for someone else. This is okay, most people understand that. So, marketing. What happens with marketing? No surprises there. Actually, a lot of people build a website and forget to market, and they go, crap, social media, way. This kind of reminds me of that Kevin Costner film, the 1990s, Field of Dreams. We've seen that. If you build it, they will come. Nah. It might work for baseball fields. It does not work for websites. If you build it, nobody will come. Remember, you're in the middle of a field, in the middle of the country. There is nobody around. You've got to build them roads around there. So what do you do? How do you do that? There's 101 different ways to market your website, and we're obviously not going to go into them, but let's just think about it strategically. Target based upon your customer persona. Those business women ages 20 to 50, now you've done the research. The content's different, the construction's design's different, the content's different, and how you market to them is different. And to a certain degree, how you measure the website is going to be different as well. So you've got to think of your customer and target them. Knowing what people are asking. Wouldn't it be really cool if you knew what people are typing into Google? Well, kind of now you know, and then you can create the content for the answers that people are asking for, the questions that people are asking for, and then you can start marketing them. But also understand what success is. Is it having 1,000 followers on Twitter? Yeah, possibly not. There's loads of metrics. Is it engagement level? Is it the number of email addresses to get it? Is it the content shared? Is it sales? There's a number of different things. You've got to understand what success is to go through. And I'd always recommend a multi-level approach. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket, basically. That goes for anything, right? So a multi-level approach. It's worth pointing out, I've got two little things. You might be able to pick these up. Inbound versus outbound. That outbound marketing is the stuff I talked about, e-newsletters and social media. That's getting on the rooftop and telling everybody how great you are, fine. Inbound marketing, people get confused with. There's two major areas to that, I would say, is the organic way. This is where you're naturally listed, okay? And then there's the paid route. You're paying Google every time someone clicks on your advert at the top or the right. And a good way of thinking about that is go back to that analogy. Organic is building the roads. The more roads you have, the better it is. You don't just want roads into town. You actually want roads around so you get tourist traffic, people who don't know you exist coming in through your store. And of course, Google AdWords, or PPC is our buzzword, is like paying for a bunch of tourists to get on a bus and dropping it out right outside your front door. They come running in, they're looking at your products, some of them are picking them up, some of them are putting down, some of them are buying them, some of them aren't. That's probably the digital equivalent of clicking on your advert, and well, yeah, maybe not. You just got to make sure while they're there, your shelves are tidy, they can find the information. This is the UX stuff, usability, and yeah, just make sure your till's not broken as well. That always annoys people. Offline to online, if you actually have a physical store and you're selling widgets online or whatever it may be, the two don't work in isolation. The two should work together. Okay, so wouldn't it be really good for that tourist that comes into the shop as a one-hit wonder, never to be seen again? Wouldn't it be really good if they had some sort of collateral where they know that your website exists and then you've got a long-term digital relationship with these people? So marketing. So the last one is measuring. Surprise, surprise. Most people don't understand their website. They don't understand the performance of the website. That's crazy to me. Well, I get stats. I see how many visitors go up. If your visitors go up by 500 each month, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You need to understand the behavior of those shoppers. Okay, so great, it's all good having a till receipt telling me how many sales you are, but it wouldn't be really cool if you could video people and their behavior inside the stores. So what do you need to do for measuring? Here's my plan for measuring. get the tools to do it. Google Analytics, just to talk a little bit geeky, is the industry standard. Okay, you can sign up for it, go for gold. If you don't know how to use it, my recommendation is go to YouTube and type in how do I use Google Analytics and watch some American guy tell you what to do. Job done. But then when you've got the tools in your hands, you can start experimenting, improving, and always adapting and evolving. This is where you basically take a bit of content and you go, well, that's my home page. Maybe I'll swap out the image for a month, measure the results, see if they got better, swap it out again for another month. What worked out better, A or B, and stick with that, A or B. But then you need to understand your metrics. See this revenue and number of transactions, that kind of makes sense. That is your till receipt. But I want to see the video of people shopping inside my shop. I want to know what their behavior rate is. Basket attrition rate is basically a fancy way of saying they've picked up a load of stuff and they're queuing up into your store and, oh, no, actually I don't want that. No, and then off they back out. You need to know the people that are doing that. And also, why are they doing that? Maybe you didn't have the right people, the right targeted people in your shop. You don't just want visitors for the sake of visitors, you want targeted visitors. And bounce rate, that's when someone lands on a page, doesn't do anything, just buggers off. And it's the equivalent of them popping their head in the store and going, oh yeah, no, that's not me. And off they go. You want your bounce rate to go down. How do you know when you've got targeted visitors? Your bounce rate goes down. If you get all these ducks in a row, get everything sorted with Google Analytics, you can ask yourself the ultimate question. What the hell's my return on my investment? What's my ROI? Even if you're not e-commerce, strictly selling widgets, products, whatever you are, you can still get, with Google Analytics, an accurate return on investment. So let me just summarize everything. What does success look like? When it comes to websites, yeah, you've got to build a website, you've got to budget it, but it's just phase one. You're always evolving your website, right? So think about it improving each year. Don't forget to budget for marketing. Just because you build a website doesn't mean you've got a queue of people waiting outside. Adding in content is probably the single best thing you can do to get natural listings, regular, fresh content. But someone's got to do it, and someone's got to maintain the site. So yeah, your piggy bank's going to play a part. I'd say this thing outweighs the piggy bank. It's time. This is not a one-person job. You have, if you've got a website, particularly if you've got an e-commerce website, you have to let something go. You have to outsource something. All right, we can't be everything to everybody, and you can't do everything either. So I want to leave you with one little thought. Oh, with a fancy diagram that I can't reach. Think about your website as an evolutionary process, not a revolutionary process. And what I mean by that is, I see quite often every 3 years people go, oh, website's looking a bit ugly. I need some new fancy stuff. So they smash it down and build it back up. Maybe they've stuck with this person, or maybe they've gone to another web developer. They've got a brand new website. Great. What are you strictly doing? All you're doing is your people that already know you exist, one day are going onto your website and go, oh, Richard's updated his website. Cool. Unless you've done everything else and targeted the people that don't know you exist, then it doesn't do anything. So yeah, evolutionary, revolutionary is the message. That's how you sell online. Thank you.
Smile, be chat, join for networking.